Welcome to the Cinema 4D tutorial. Today, due to popular request, I will show you how to rig a humanoid character. This tutorial is a follow-up to my latest tutorial, the rigging and weighting tutorial, so I won't be explaining all the intricacies of how to rig a character and how to weight something. So, I have here downloaded a free human character, very simple, very low polygon, and I will rig this one. To get the most out of seeing him, I will get rid of the space down here by simply switching the view to modeling. I won't be using any of this, but it'll give me a bigger view of him. Now to start rigging, I will start from the frontal view, but an important thing to note before is when you put the first bone down, so let me just show you quickly, and you put a bunch of others, and you want to move the first bone, you'll notice that it moves all the others. So it's important to place the first bone somewhere where you won't have to move it a lot without moving the rest of the entire character. And the only real place to do this is right by the hip, right by the pelvis here. This is because most of the movement on the human body originates at the pelvis. So even though it does move sometimes when you walk and run and other motions like that, it will rotate back and forth. Most of the motion right there is very, very subtle, so you can get by without doing much of it. So I will switch to my frontal view, which I've conveniently switched display to garage shading, so it's easier for me to see. And I will start by adding a joint right by the pelvis. So to do this, character, joint tool, and since I have modify as move, I will have to press Control before drawing any bones. I can switch this to draw, but move is easier for now. So the first bone I'll put approximately in the center, right around here. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can always fix it afterwards. And I'll add another one here, and here, and right around there. So now if I turn off this character, you can see I have 4 slightly crooked joints. The amount of joints you place on the spine really depends on your preference. You don't have to put as many joints as there are bones on the spine. That might be a little overkill, but it's really up to you how much you will be moving the own character. So then I'll just continue this up to the head. Another one maybe right there, a neck bone, oops, there, a neck bone, and the head. Now I want to align these so that they actually line up with the character, because right now they're just straight. So I'll go into my side view. I'll be able to grab these. Since it's a move tool, I can just grab them and kind of adjust them based on the shape of the curve here, not so much the front. And move this one up a little bit. I'll have one bone cover the neck and then one bone cover the rest of the head. So now if I go into my perspective view, turn off the character, I can kind of get the idea of a curved spine and a head. Now we want to do the arms. To do this, back into the front view, and since I know my character is symmetrical, or at least it looks very symmetrical, I can just start and create a symmetrical things, bones, so I don't have to do twice the amount of work. And to add these bones, I won't start from the head. I won't draw down like this, but instead I'll start from right on there. So I'll find that bone. Actually, I think I can just click it. Yep. And then switch back into my joint tool and uncheck root null. And because it's symmetric, I want to go to symmetry and switch it to draw. Now I should be able to draw 2 joints originating from this joint here. So I'll make the first by the shoulder, then I'll move down to the elbow, and then here you can either do 2 like such, ending at the wrist, or do 1. I usually do 1. 2 is if you want to rotate the hand without messing up the polygons here. For this example, I'll just do 1. And I'll leave the hands as is, excuse me, because right now they're bent so much and there's so many of them, it would really just waste time instead of showing you anything constructive. So now I have to align the arms so that the joints so that they line up with the arm. So to do this, I will simply There we go. No. There we go. And go into the side view, zoom in a little, and move them so that they line up approximately. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm doing this rather quickly, so I'm not worrying too much about how it looks. I tend to be very, very picky when I'm doing this more seriously. It also results in me wasting a ton of time getting it perfect. So now you can see kind of arms branching off of the spine. Now I want to make the legs. And the legs I obviously start from the original bone. So here again I will have the root null unchecked and symmetry, because I'm making two legs and they are symmetric. Excuse me. So instead of just going straight to the knee, as you can see kind of comes out of the body here, I will first make kind of like a setup bones. So I'll go out here. This is so that I can rotate the leg around these joints instead of around the center joint. Then I'll make one go to the knee, and I'll fix this angles here now because it saves my time later. So fix that there. Go back in the front view, and the feet are a little odd on this character since they're pointed outwards so drastically. So align it approximately as is and move those back. And now from here on out I'll just stay in the side view and make two joints, one for the sole of the foot, one for the toes. This is because usually when you walk, and in real life this part of your body stays relatively perpendicular for the most part, and it's the toes that really do the bending when you're walking. When you're running it might be a little different. So then I can go in here, there we go. You can tell it's a little difficult at times, and push that outwards. That's good enough for the tutorial, really, but I'll be picky. And you can see I'm using the scale tool just to push them outwards. It does make them, excuse me, a little bigger, but that's alright. So now if we make this smaller and close the character, you can see pretty much a humanoid set of bones, joints that is, they're not yet bones. Now what we want to do is make it so that in a sense they are bones, so that they affect the motion of the body, because right now if I take the arm and rotate it, it doesn't move the actual arm at all. So to do this I scroll all the way up, take the root of all the joints, right click and select children. It selects everything underneath it, and then I select the character object. I'll do control click, and now I go up to character and I find bind. You see a little icon of the joints to kind of a bone thing. Click that and you will see the only difference really occurs is right here. You get a skin object, you don't see it at all, and a weight object. Now is the fun part. If I were to find this and move it now, you will see the arm moves, but there will be some parts, for example the upper arm here. I can guarantee that this will look very odd when turning it. You can see the chest kind of caves in as you turn it upwards, and you would probably know that this doesn't happen in real life. So to do this you have to fix the weighting on the character, which I've shown in the previous tutorial. To do this you go to character and weight tool. Now you see this very white area, back area. Black is not affected by the bone, white is affected, so let me switch this back to add. Now if I were to say add stuff over here and rotate the bone, you would see the stuff moves with it. So let me go back, let me undo that. So now I want to erase certain parts. You can see it probably, the upper arm probably does not affect this part on the chest, so I can either click control click, or switch this to erase. I'm gonna keep it in control, it's easier for me right now. And that's pretty much all that you have to do. You have to go through, do a ton of tune-up until every single bone affects only what it's supposed to really affect. And you can, I usually do this by touching it up a little bit, going to rotating the parrot in a realistic way, and then fixing it up a little more, and so on and so on. It's a very time-consuming piece of work, especially for me. The last thing you want to do is, when you have a ton of bones and joints like this, you want to name them. So, for example, like this one, I use a naming system, right upper leg, and then I can close this. Left upper leg. You can name every single joint. I usually end up doing this. Spine, right upper arm. But then this makes it a lot easier to find the specific joint that you want to move, especially when you're animating, than having to find joint number 52 or whatever in however large character you're using. And head. So then you have this pretty straightforward system. You can find any part in your body relatively quickly, and you can rotate and animate your character pretty easily. Now this is, mind you, the very basics. There's a ton more that you can do. I usually don't use these. It's a pain to set up, for me at least, and I don't really use the other things too much. So this is really the